Welcome to Forever Exile, the Path of Exile podcast. This is episode 37. I am Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
This is why we have to just permanently use the other one so that you can just never have an intro or an outro ever again. I mean, that wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. Right?
Next episode, 38, I'm going to do my Godfather impression with it.
Yeah, if you ever, I feel like you might have tried it once, but if you ever like go full singing for it, we might just have to have a talk. Oh wait, Godfather, oh my God, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Why?
Because you're just going to make me angry. I can't watch the video. Like, I'll have to cover your face if you do it, because something happens to your face when you go Godfather, and your hands, like you get all into it.
Oh, you cannot do a Godfather impersonation without doing the hand.
Yeah, you can.
You need the hand.
You actually can.
Have you seen The Godfather recently?
Many times. I love that movie. It's one of my top 5, probably, for sure.
But every time you think about Mr. Corleone, you think of me, don't you?
1, 2, or 3. Which one's your favorite? Don't say 3.
All of them. It's one big story, Justin.
I really like 2. I think out of the 3, that's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
And then 1. And then 3's like, eh.
Well, made a ton later. Have you read the books?
Mm-mm. Why would I read a book when there's a video, Tyler?
Because there's like a tenth of the books.
You and books are so annoying. How far have you gotten into Game of Thrones?
Don't. I am waiting, and it's not. Seriously.
He's writing other stuff. You're never going to get to read it.
It doesn't matter. You know what he's doing? He's writing the background lore for Elden Ring.
I know. You know what he's not doing? Finishing Game of Thrones.
I know, that is annoying.
So you should just watch the movie.
Maybe he is.
Or the show.
But I want to, but don't tell my wife.
What, she wouldn't watch it?
No, she'll refuse to, and that's
okay.
fine. But
so
the reason that I actually haven't, I've actually succumbed to the fact. Now, if you're on Discord, you shush, okay? You shush your mush about this. I know I'm well past my
yeah, you definitely
the time that
the
people should
level.
Be. Yeah, but
it's a pretty big one though.
Well, better be more than one. But anyway,
in the end, Gandalf dies.
I might accidentally say something in the next 20 years until that book comes out. So I'm still.
He is going to die way before he finishes that book. There's
no way. I'm going to cut something because it's Crave, right? But the Crave only does where we are. Crave's like Netflix, but they have HBO for Canada.
Oh,
right.
I have no idea.
So, but they have 2 packages, which is really annoying. And so you can get the normal package for $15 or whatever, but the last 2 seasons are in the $25 package.
I just watched it online like everybody else.
Yeah, well, you're a cheater.
Anyway, all right. So just a quick shout out to our patrons across the board. All of them are awesome. We got 3 patrons this week. Eris, hopefully I said that right. Muse and Malzicor. Malzicor's been in Discord forever. He's awesome. So thank all 3 of you guys for joining up, and for everybody else who's joined our Patreon. Hopefully you guys are also enjoying After Dark. And if you're curious about what our Patreon is, links are in the description below, probably. How was your week, Ty?
For some apps. Crazy.
Yeah.
Another one of those weeks where all of a sudden I feel like we just recorded.
Yeah.
Right. But then on these kind of days where, like, when I listen to our most recent, today's Friday, right? So normally on Friday morning or afternoon while I'm like cutting lawn or doing whatever, I listen to our podcast again, just to kind of remind myself what we might have talked about, maybe something to reference. And I just can't believe, like, our last podcast, it feels like it was yesterday, but when I'm listening to it, I feel like that was 10 podcasts ago. I feel like there's so much that's happened since our last podcast. Like, we went to the zoo again, had another Divinity week. I actually had to bail on a Red Dead this week because I just needed some personal POE time for myself. I know, right? Another Dark Souls evening, which was awesome. Catching up. My wife and I are watching an episode at night while she's gone of the Formula One Netflix original, Drive to Survive. Oh, it's awesome, man. It's awesome. Season 1 was about season 2018, and 2019 is season 2. It's so cool seeing the behind the scenes stuff.
Is this like remember that, was it 30 over 30 or something, but in an F1 version? Is it sort of that same idea where they're telling a story of something?
They follow the behind the scenes stories of certain things. Yeah. So because Formula One the last few years has been very top heavy. It's the top three teams are always taking the top 6 finishing positions. They're following a lot of the mid-tier teams, but it's still really cool when you're a huge fan because you know that only 20 drivers out of 7 billion people are in the pinnacle of the sport. So it's, you know, they all have talent. So it's pretty sweet. Come on. It's like
who cares?
You watching.
Who cares?
What's the Last Dance? It's like you watching and being super stoked about an MJ show. The Last Dance, the Final Dance. Same thing. I'm a huge F1 freak, so hush your mush. And there's, for the first time
what
ever,
the difference is?
2 Canadians in Formula One. So
the difference is the Last Dance is talking about 1 person out of 7 billion, not 20. Good God, that's so many.
So confusing. Yeah. Okay. Well, how about this? This is the value of the sport. Christian Horner.
Is F1 considered a sport?
This is
racing a car a sport?
Okay.
Come on.
You're going to set. Okay.
I'm going to set you off.
You're going to set me off. And yes, this is a Path of Exile podcast. We'll get there really quick. But Christian Horner has been the team principal, the head honcho for Red Bull Racing for 15 years. He married Ginger Spice. He is worth more than her, and she's worth millions. That's how valuable Formula One is. So up yours.
That's a terrible reference.
No, it's not. The dude takes a helicopter to work every day. Yeah, Ginger Spice. She's worth 40 million. He's worth 50 million. And he's the team principal of one of the teams.
They just drive cars, man.
Really fast. Really awesome.
Really fast. So it is a sport? Is it actually considered a sport?
Yes, it's a sport. Oh my goodness, it's way more sporty than basketball.
You're right. Sure.
Just watch it.
No,
all right. Anyway, it was awesome. How's your lawn?
Well,
if you like crashes, watch the show.
No, I just need to see the short. Like, I just want them all condensed.
They're half an hour.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh, okay, cool. I mean, preferably where they don't die, but I still like to see the crashes. My week and my lawn. My lawn is fantastic. I don't really know how much people care. I know there's at least one, so I'm going to tell you anyway. I have a bunch of work happening in our front yard the week after I come back. And so we're kind of prepping for that. So there's like a ton of Allen blocks coming and all this other stuff for a wall that has to be built. And I talked to the guy who's going to be doing
front yard.
Yeah, there's a retaining wall that's starting to give, and it's all wood. It looked fine, but it's got to come down. So we're putting in an actual proper stone wall. And the guy who's doing all the work, I was talking to him and I was like, what do you think about just flattening my front yard? I think I told you this. I think I said this in one of our past episodes. So I am very excited for that. I am prepping for that. I have got all my stuff ready. I'm going to be putting in-ground irrigation in myself.
Obviously, because who doesn't, right?
I know, right?
For their lawn.
For that, it's not even that big of a lawn, which is awesome. The
4x4.
I mentioned it. I think I talked to you about this before, but there's a herbicide that I've been trying to get my hands on that I don't know if you're allowed in Canada. And so it's called Tenacity, and it's amazing. I mean, let me tell you, it's amazing. And we were talking about it. I think there was like a day in Discord where it was like the first half of the day was just people talking about
like
lawns. It was hilarious.
It was sweet.
Anyway, I was looking this up and I found a company I think they're called Seed Ranch. And they're
like going to screw it for every other Canadian? Now they're going to get called out and no one's ever going to get it.
They're called Seed Ranch Canada, right? So I'm looking at it going, okay, it's Canadian, whatever. They were selling it. It's very expensive. Like, it's not cheap. It's like a friggin' tiny bottle like this. But it's a Canadian seedranch.ca, I think, is a website, and they're not like a sponsor or something. They're not. It just says Seed Ranch Canada. So I'm going, okay, at least I'm buying it from a Canadian company. And it was weird that it was priced in American, but everything on the site shows Canada, right? So I thought, okay, fine. So I went through, bought it. I get an email like the next morning saying that it's shipped, everything's good. It's coming from Florida. I'm like, oh, crap. I have no idea what's going to happen when it gets to the border. I'm hoping they lied and they labeled it as like dog food or something. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it's actually going to arrive or not. So I might have to figure out something else. But anyway, that's my lawn. My week, though, was good. I got a lot of Path of Exile in, which was fun. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Should have messaged me.
Yeah, I go offline now, so you can't see when I'm on. And then boy, do I ever get more done. I'm just kidding. I watched 2 movies. Okay, I watched a movie and a show, and I don't watch TV very much. I can't get into like shows or like whatever. We watched I think it's called The Old Guard, and it's with Charlize Theron. Have you seen it? You should watch it.
I just see it pop up all the time.
It's really good. And it's so like, it's a really cool storyline. Like the storyline behind it is really cool. And then we watched a series called The Umbrella Academy. It's like these, I don't know. It's weird. We finished that. It's good. They just gave us something to do in the evenings because it's been a little bit more. I've been trying to like check out a little bit from work. So it's been good. So,
ever seen Intimidation Game or The Imitation Game? Cumberbatch.
Yes, the movie, right? That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
for some reason I decided to start that at 3 a.m. last night.
Oh, was good. That's a long movie though.
That's 2 hours.
At 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of those days. Took me an hour and a half to find the movie.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you don't normally stay up that late.
No, I don't. Normally out by 11. My body was like, pretend you're 18.
Yeah. All right.
Just for one night.
And that hurt in the morning. All right. What about your POE week? So we've got our weeks out of the way. I was Path of Exile for you this week. We played Monday. What else did you do? Did you play?
I opted not to play Red Dead this week so that I could get a nice session in. I messaged you that night to see if you were on, but you said, and it was probably because you were, but you were offline and then you didn't message me back.
No, so we started a show. I do remember.
Sure. Yeah, after 8 hours of POE.
Yeah, once I hit 100.
But we did play. And thank you very much for all your gear. That is very kind, and it definitely does slow you down. But Justin was very kind and doing a whole bunch of crafts and stuff for me, which was pretty sweet. Buffed up my character. I think I respect it last time, but I respect everything into life now. But I think I did that before the last podcast. But anyway, I did die a lot still. And so I'm not happy with the defense of my SRS Guardian. Yeah. Offensively, I think it's totally fine. But one thing that I do like about broadcasting to 2 people is I can watch the video later. And I sometimes do, especially with frustrating sessions, because I get to see what was going on, or if I just wasn't reacting fast enough, or it was, my death was a load of crap. So I died a lot on our Monday night session. And as I went through portions of the broadcast, I was surprised how much I got stunned. Like I'm casting Cyclone, and then SRS is being cast with cast while channeling. But I have 5,300 life. Now, I know that's not a lot, but it's not a small amount. And I was very surprised how often I was stunned. And it was a huge, huge factor in how often I was dying. And because movement is like just constantly moving is a big part of my survivability with that build. Now, it's not a complaint. Like, it's not a complaint to SRS. I don't quite get the stun ratios. I mean, I get stunned lots with my Righteous Fire build, and that has close to 8,000 life. So I don't quite get the ratio in game. But either way, it's not a complaint. It was just something that I noticed. So it might mean that Cyclone in the future, until maybe I understand the math of stun more, Cyclone's probably not going to be a major focus of many of my builds unless they're crazy high life. But I was surprised with 5,500 life that I was getting stunned so frequently.
Are you tying in your Val Cyclone so that you can become stun immune? Like so that
then I stay still.
Oh.
Val Cyclone keeps you still for that entire duration and you can't move, and that's crazy dangerous unless you're in a boss battle without ads and you're familiar with all
Val
the tells,
Cyclone
right?
makes you immobile?
As far as I can tell, yeah.
Oh,
this is the first time I've ever used it. But yeah. And I also realized looking at my videos that my SRS are actually dead a lot. Because it's just SRS, I never thought that I would need to care about their survivability. I got every single minion damage, speed, and accuracy node, all the offensive nodes, but I didn't get any life nodes for it. And in my head, I thought that would be okay. And I'm looking back at the video and there's a ton. I'm supposed to have 20. I'm constantly channeling Cyclone, and with a level 20 cast while channeling, I will have 20 SRS out all the time. But I found that most of the time I only have 5 to 8 because they're just taking so much AoE damage from just how busy the screens always are. Now, SRS can't be targeted, but I did find that from that perspective, I was really surprised. I'm like, oh, wow, I just thought I always had 20 out. but I only had 8. So it was good to look back. This last session was very edifying. Unfortunately, it wasn't very successful.
Did you level?
It'll definitely help me in a long time. No, I'm still 80 up yours. Nobody has ever reached 88 and nobody ever will. Okay. But on my console session, I played my slow-mo zombie build this week, and I have meat shield with my zombies this league, and I absolutely love it. A lot of people, when they're coming in, they're actually really nervous about it. People like playing ranged zombies, and so they'll immediately not like the meat shield lifestyle or play style. Now, if you don't know what meat shield is, it just means that your zombies stay close to you almost all the time. And the perk to that, of course, they get increased damage from the gem as well, but they also taunt on hit for the most part. So you get the survivability from their taunting because you're forced to be close to enemies. But I really focused the entire session on being very calm. Like I'd go right beside all the danger. I'd stand still intentionally. I'd move only a little bit. And I really felt comfortable. It was really nice. I learned a lot about a lot of the different stuff that normally I might be panicking about. Felt like a total pro, yo. Just delete my 10x, yo. And, but yeah, I always know when I should have ended my broadcast about an hour early because my last hour normally has about 5 deaths.
It's usually when we're playing together, it's like, I'm zoning out. I'm zoning out.
Yeah. Just 2 more maps. Oh, I hate this game. Bye.
Yeah, you did that last time too.
Yeah. Well, I don't end it like that, but how about your week? You played lots, so gimme.
Yeah, I got enough in. It was good. I'm still playing Ball Lightning, low life. I've not done a whole lot of changing in my gear or anything. I really want to craft. I've been doing most of the crafting for you. I can't figure out what pieces that I really need to craft better items for. So right now I'm just building up all of my horticrafting options or whatever for eventually being able to craft something. But so far I haven't really gotten a chance to craft much for myself. And I could, but I just haven't had the chance to figure out exactly what items do I need to push. And I haven't had a problem. I like dying when, for some reason, when we play together, I find I die more, or I'm not sure if it's just because I don't know. When I think you got off on Monday for like when you went to bed, I played for a bit longer, or maybe it was the next day. And I think I got like 3/4 of my level, like from 94 to 95 or whatever I am right now. No dying. And I was like, what is happening here? Like what is different? I know that there's an increase in, what is it, health? Right, 50% increase in health or something.
Yeah, I think there might. You know what? I forget. They changed a while ago, and I forget what it was. I thought there was a damage increase as well.
Yeah, I don't know. But the game itself, this may be somewhat argued by different sides. I really like this league. I have had a lot of fun with Harvest. I don't get it, and I think the easiest argument to it is that it doesn't make sense, and I'm totally on board with that. It doesn't line up with what Path of Exile typically is. But for me, it's just refreshing. It's something that I can choose to pay attention to or not pay attention to. And as you start to figure out how the harvest works, like you don't have to be in it every time. If you go in it to every 3 maps, you're actually maximizing like the growth of the cycles and the seeds. And they came out with their new seed patch that we're going to talk about, which is really it's just nice for playing the game.
Yes.
But I don't know. I really liked Harvest.
Good.
I don't know why.
Good.
Maybe it's the build.
That's the whole point of a league, though. You don't have to like it long term or have a good reason. Like it's a temporary league.
I found Ball Lightning is like just crazy nice to play. It's got
I'd like
good
to ask
clear.
you that.
What's that?
You go ahead.
It's great. Go ahead though. What do you want to ask me?
Well, I forgot to put this in, but I wanted to ask you. This build, you come up with all your own builds, right? You're not waiting for people to post to see what they're doing. You just kind of look and you kind of, I haven't done this for a while and that looks really strong this league. Let's try that. But the last couple leagues, you've done that. And what you've done has just ended up being a meta.
Well, I look at what I always, and I've talked about this with Ethan, I don't typically like to follow a build because I like to play them myself, but I will every single time if I'm going, I'm thinking of this skill or this skill got buffed, I'll look at what other people have done with it in the past, how people have used it. POE Ninja is really nice for that because you can see, what have people tied into it. And the reason for that is this game is monstrous, and to know everything is almost impossible. So the way I usually do it, I think we've talked about this before, I won't ever plan around like items or a unique or anything, but I will quite often plan around a type of skill or a play style. And I knew going into this one, I wanted to try mines because I wanted to have something that was pre-laid for the harvest, just because I didn't know, but I was like, I feel like you're going to need a lot of damage while you're waiting for them to pop. And so needing to wait for them to pop means that I can lay a bunch of damage down and wait for it to go. So I knew I was going to go mines. Ball lightning got buffed. So it's just, I find it easier to figure out the skill and the play style I want, and then take a look at, hey, the biggest time that I had to do it this time was actually when I switched to low life and figuring out, hey, what do people typically like in the tree? More so looking into the gems and the jewels and stuff that you can use, because there's a lot of strong, I don't know all of them. There's just no way to. So looking at like, what do people like to do when they're using it? Chevrons. POE Ninja makes that really easy to like check and see like, oh, this is what they're doing, or, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That makes sense. So yeah. And I'm trying to, I don't remember what I played last league.
You did something Archmage.
Oh, I played a couple builds last league. Yeah, there was an Archmage build. That was my second or third one. This one, I've been doing ball lightning since the beginning, and I have not gotten tired of it. Like I haven't gotten to that point where I'm like, I have in my head gone, dang it, I said I was going to do melee. I wanted to do something with like a big attack and big damage, which I still do, but I'm really, really enjoying this playstyle. Like I haven't felt like I needed to do something different.
That's interesting because you normally do want to do at least two. You normally have at least two characters, normally just two, but per league. And it is kind of sometimes getting tired of it. For the most part, it's getting tired. It's nothing against the build that you did. It's still successful. But there's one little thing that bugs you, and then you move on. Yep. I thought this one would be that for you because of how many buttons you had. No, this build. It's traps or mines? Mines.
It's mines. I press one button.
Right, but how are you hitting one button? Don't you have to activate them? Like you cast it and then activate it?
Detonate mine is on my left click, and place the mine is on my right click, which means for a lot of times I'm literally just holding down the right button and I'm just left clicking to move, which is moving me and detonating the mines. I use E to dash, and that's it. I've been playing around with the brand. I think I have that on Q. I can't remember. But there's not really that many. And then I have Val Discipline, which, oh my goodness, that Val Discipline is so strong.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good.
It's very, very smart that they made it to a Val skill, because that has some value.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So anyway,
you can have more than one too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could load up QWERT.
That sounds like fun. I just have been really happy with this league. I think I like it because people don't like it. I think to me, I'm like, I have to find a way to make myself like it, because it can't be as bad as what people want to try and say it is. And I know a lot of people talk about like the drop off in every league, and this is 100% has a higher drop off than most leagues. And I can say that without even looking at the Steam stuff, because it correlates even to us, like the podcast and viewers on Twitch and all that kind of stuff. Our podcast sees a totally different set of numbers, as you can tell that a league is starting to drop off. And as a new league is starting to ramp up, it just correlates to everything related to the game. And that makes me smile, because then I go, okay, well, I got to find a reason to like this. If people are going to be that, willing to not play it because they don't like this portion of it, I'm curious, like, are they missing out? And I think if you're not giving Harvest like a really good shot, like the actual Harvest mechanic, I think you're missing out, because the crafting is insane. It is insane. The stuff that people make, and maybe this will come up actually. Maybe we'll talk about this at some point in this episode. But there's a whole talk. We talked about it going core and whatnot, like whether or not we thought this and the mods and all that kind of stuff. But I really like it. I hope some version of it stays, because I think it gives people who may not spend as much time as people who stream and play it all the time, it gives you access to something strong crafting wise. And I actually like deterministic crafting versus gamble crafting. I like the fact, like, if you go to the crafting station in your, this is totally going a slight tangent, but if you go to the crafting station in your hideout, you're picking the craft you're going to get, and you're just getting a range, right? That's deterministic crafting. You know, I'm going to add fire resistance to this item because I need fire resistance, so I need to craft it. Versus your alternative, which is, well, I'm going to throw an Exalt at it and hope I hit fire, or I'm going to spam chaos on it and hope I hit fire. I think the deterministic side is really good for people who don't have just tons and tons of time to play, or not even tons of time to play, but maybe they're just they don't fully understand the things you can do in the game to make large amounts of currency. And then if you go even one step further than that, if you want to make a lot of currency in this game, you have to play the trade league. You're not playing solo self-found, and you're not playing, solo self-found and making huge currencies, because you make huge currencies through trading. That's just the way that it is. It's not like you can magically get some random drops to happen more frequently for you in a solo self-found league. Whereas Harvest and this version of crafting it's really brought the ability to do crafting on a deterministic side way, way, way further. And I think that's really fun. I don't know that Harvest is the way to do it, right? I don't think that's necessarily the best way to do it, but it is made crafting way more fun than just what it was before.
What about adding? Now, I personally don't like how crafts are unlocked in this game. I do like needing to progress and achieve something to unlock certain progresses, or to unlock certain crafts in the normal hideout crafting bench. And I do like the deterministic crafting that you mentioned. It puts a huge emphasis on getting that nice drop instead of just crafting it. You know what I mean? Like, when it takes 4 chaos to get your fire and chaos resistance or something, and you finally get a nice life roll on your boots with a free suffix, okay, that's fantastic, right? And so I like that, because it puts a huge value on the drop of the item as opposed to the spamming of trying to get a good exalted craft, right? I think, though, putting something like Harvest in the game just makes it way too strong. You have to change everything about the game. Otherwise, crafting is just too easy.
Do you think it's wrong? And it was actually something I was thinking about leading into this conversation with you. And maybe I'm just on a different side, and maybe I haven't had time to really fully think it through, but is it bad that crafting's easy?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
Why?
Or if it's easy, it needs to be stupid expensive.
Why though? Why not make it so that people can eventually get that piece of gear? You have to. You have to remember.
Would be the key
no. There are some pieces of gear in Harvest that have been created that you will probably never, ever, ever, ever be able to create or see in the game ever. Right. They're just, and granted, that makes them extremely powerful. But is that bad? Is that bad that if somebody who has played a lot, and again, I'm not saying Harvest is the key. The way that Harvest is built is the way to do it. But I am kind of curious what people's opinion are on a deterministic crafting that can eventually, through time, get you some piece of gear that is, I'm not sure that that's bad. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't like GGG making things like super newbie friendly. I don't like them making the game easy. I really don't. I'm not sure that this is that though.
Well, you've gone on two different sides though. You've said easy, and then you've said after playing a long time, right? Like,
well, I don't think that those are two different things.
Okay, well, if you've needed to invest a lot of time and have a character that's good enough to have gotten to a point where you can unlock that craft, sure, then making that craft is easy. When you said easy prior, I thought that it was just easily gotten, easily available, easy to craft.
Well, I guess it depends on what level you think easy is. What's easy? Like, I actually think if you've played for a bit, farming tier 12 to 14s is easy. I think that that's not so far out that the majority of players can't do that.
The current crafting bench cost for 6 linking an item is easy. Earning 1,500 fusings is not. I like that setup. The craft itself is easy. It's guaranteed, but you have to earn it. You have to get it. You have to play your weight, right? You have to earn your dues per se. And I like that. I don't know. I mean, I think it would be a good idea to add some of those harvest crafts to the crafting bench.
Yeah, I don't
and
know if I
have
like
them
that.
unlock in, having 2 crafting areas is
Yeah.
going to get really redundant. You're going to see people just freak out. It's you need you have one crafting station.
I don't know that I don't actually think there has to be just one crafting station. And again, I'm not saying harvest is the answer, but I don't like some of those crafts from harvest going onto your crafting bench, because that means you can do it anytime you want if you have the currency. And the way I'm looking at it is I absolutely would love, and this is coming from somebody who plays softcore trade. That's my favorite league to play in. I would love to see stuff that makes me less reliant on trade. And
I agree with that
this
one.
does this, whether you like it or not, whether you've played Harvest or not, whether you've gotten involved in the crafting in Harvest, the way that crafting works in Harvest removes the necessity of trade by a huge margin. If you wanted to, and I'm not talking about people who are min-maxing their harvests and min-maxing their crafting. I'm talking just from my own experience of playing a relatively decent amount of time, level 93, 94, being able to save up my crafts through the harvest and being able to, with some time, build maybe 1 or 2 really, really high level items that I could use in a build that are super strong, that the only other way I would ever get those in a game is to trade for them.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
I don't
bad?
mind having.
I don't think it is.
Well, no, but for me, I mean, I'm repeating myself here. It just needs to have a well-earned value to it, right? If the strongest crafts need to be, you need to have a strong character to get or unlock, and then then you can craft it. I don't really like the idea of being able to have, I mean, I don't know what specific example you might have been thinking of, but let's say I'm trying to create a 500 DPS one-handed weapon. That should be really hard to unlock, but then have a deterministic craft available to me once I've unlocked it. Sure, but I really feel like it needs to be well earned.
Unlock what? And
well
earned
craft
what
you're referring to?
Well earned what? Exalts earned in the game aren't well earned, and that's what is the expensive crafts. You didn't earn that exalt. It wasn't a well earned exalt. You just got lucky. You got lucky with a drop, right?
But you don't want to be lucky by earning your crafting mods. Like, for example, let me say, if I have 50 exalt that I can spend on whatever, it's not, I didn't play 50 hours. I've played a lot, right? Whether it's
maybe,
well, yeah, but there's no way I got an exalt an hour, right? It's just too rare. So if you have these deterministic mods that are really strong, make them expensive, and then once you've put your due in, have at it.
I guess the argument I have, though, from the other side of that, Ty, is you're saying that you've earned it by somehow unlocking it and then gathered all these exalts. But in order to get the craft through the harvest, you're leveling up to like tier 3 and tier 4 seeds. And then you're unlocking that craft. You've gone that it's not like it was easy. It's not like the craft just popped up and, hey, I've got it. You have had to put in work to get to those crafts. So I guess it depends on, because you're saying that it should be hard to unlock, but my argument is just that, and I'm not saying it's the answer, because I think one thing that Harvest has done is it's taken away some of the value to currency, because you're not needing to, there's no cost to doing that craft, right? Currency wise, there is certainly a cost in the time that it took to build it up, the way that you set up your harvest, the way that you've ranked up those seeds. So there is a cost, but there is no currency involved in how you got that craft.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that you can say that it's not a difficult thing to unlock just because you didn't have to go do some weird thing and then have to also save up the currency. Because, and the only reason I'm saying this is you just said, it's unlikely if you play for 50 hours, you're going to get 50 exalts. And I'm not sure how much you've looked at Trade This League, but items are extremely expensive. And if I wanted to get some of the items that I could through time be able to craft, I'm going to have to spend a very large amount of exalts. And the only way I'm getting those exalts is trading, period. You're not getting those exalts from just random drops. And you're just not, you're not seeing that in, RNG drop based currency. Right. You're seeing that in selling your crafts, selling your seeds, selling your items, flipping currency, whatever it is. all that I'm saying is Harvest to me has brought in crafting that a average normal player probably wouldn't see.
Right.
It's I the ability to make some of these items is something that I've never been able to, and I don't think anybody has been able to, whether you're playing hundreds and hundreds of hours a week or you're playing 1 or 2 hours a week. Some of the abilities in these crafts is stuff that's just not been in the game before to this level. And I'm not sure where I fall, but I'm just saying I like the deterministic value and the ability to craft something after I put time into the harvest, because it's taking me away from having to constantly go on to POE trade, or in what's Path of Exile's trade now, right? And it's a hard conversation for you and I to have because you don't use it anyway. You go in that solo.
I'm completely agreeing with you. I just want there to be a good balance between how you unlock the craft and how you spend it. I think having all that crafting available is fantastic. The game has huge value because of its huge difficulty level. Everything from all the choices you make while leveling, all the gear that you have to vendor or not vendor, even the fear with crafting. So as long as, like, I agree with you, I love that kind of crafting, and I love being able to know what I'm going to get. Just as long as I can't get a 6-link when I'm the second 6 links are capable of dropping and I have the best gear that I'm ever going to have.
Yeah, and for all of the crafting I've done through Harvest, I've never seen a 6-link craft come available. I have not had that come up, and I know from reading online, a lot of people aren't as well. It seems to be quite rare.
They just need to, like, if this kind of stuff was going to get added to the game, like you and I, we're on the same page. We're saying it differently. The focal point is, how would it get unlocked in the game, right? Where does it come from? And because we don't know that, hopefully it's balanced if it does come into the game.
I still think with Harvest, had they made seeds not tradable, you would see a bigger, it would be harder to argue against what I'm saying if seeds weren't tradable, because right now you can trade for specific seeds to target specific crafts. And I'm not sure I really like that, because then it does make it easier to craft those really specific items. I kind of like the idea that the seeds you find are your seeds, you plant them, and you're going to have to just, because then there's a little bit of RNG into that deterministic craft. I have to go and find the right seeds. And when I do, I am going to get the craft. But what I like about it is when I get the craft and I use the craft, it's gone. I don't get it again. I'm going to have to find it again, or hope that I get those seeds again, versus something going into the table means that I have that access to that anytime I want. And I know exactly what I'm going to do, because I'm just going to go and trade for the currency, whatever that cost is, because now there's literally nothing I have to do, because I've unlocked it. It's on my bench and I just need the currency to do it. And I don't really like that side of it. I toss and turn between them all, because I really, really like, one thing I really like about Harvest is I feel like it's made crafting much more accessible, granted through multiple different crafting benches, because you do have to use both right now. But I like the fact that it's made crafting accessible to people who probably weren't seeing, like, okay, I'm just going to augment on a fire resist. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good, because yes, you can do that from your bench, but you're not doing it at any decent level until, and you know what, even as I'm saying it, if I get augment of fire onto my chest or my boots, I may roll a tier 7 fire resist. Yeah. And so now I've got to get, remove an augment of fire or something. Like, it's just fun to me. I actually like that side of it, and there's no risk of currency loss. By me going through the Harvest, I'm not going, oh crap, this is going to cost me 100 chaos. And I don't know, if I'm going to just lose out on that chaos. Worst case in Harvest is I lost out on that craft.
What would you think of them adding the Harvest crafts, but having it cost currency? So you have the same options available to you. Use the augmenting fire, like you mentioned, but think of it as costing however much chaos per attempt.
Yeah, and that's what I was just saying, removals. Though. I think...
Would you like that?
No.
Would you be fine with that?
No. And the reason for it is I'm just going to go and trade for the currency so that I can do that craft. And what I think it does is it makes the people who are playing the trade league, first off, it doesn't help anybody playing solo self-found. If you turn it into hey, here's your craft and it costs X amount of currency, there's no benefit to the Soul of Self-Found person because they still have to get that currency somehow on their own. And currency is literally 100%, especially the high-end currency. It's just RNG. It's gated behind a chance. In the trade league, it's not. In the trade league now, I'm just going in and trading for currency to go and do that craft that I want to do. And I like the trade league. I realize I'm talking from two different points. I'm talking from I do really love trade league because it lets me go. In this example, I wanted a Chevron 6-link. The chances of me finding a Chevron 6-link, Jesus, I chanced so many occultist vestments this league. I didn't get a single one. But then even if I did, I know, even if I did, then I got a 6-link it. So I like trade league for going, okay, this is the unique that I want. I want it 6-linked. I can get it. But in this league now, I could go all my rares. I could craft them. I could figure out, and then, I mean, there's so many cool things this league too with like, running lab and getting 7 to 9 enchants on your helmet shots. And, I just feel like they made things more accessible to somebody who's not going to have to put a huge focus into the trade side of a league. Yeah. And I really, really like that.
I'm solo self-found, man. I'm I'm down with it. Now, here's a thing though. I've been wanting to ask you this actually for a long time. This conversation brought it up. I have a funny feeling I know the answer. I know GGG trades like one of the cornerstones of this game. They're never going to remove it, though they might have wanted it different originally. I've never liked that you could trade currency. I have always wished that it was just gear.
How would you do
maybe
that?
Gems, maybe not. I don't know. Well, just you can't buy chaos from people. You can't buy exalts. You can't buy a mirror. You can't buy scrolls of wisdom. What would you think of the marketplace or of the game? Like to kind of take a couple seconds. What do you think about having a trade market where it was just equipable items, no currency?
Well, but then you're saying I'm trading a chess piece for a chess piece?
Well, no, you spend currency to get it, but you can't. You know how there's that bulk section? You can buy exalts for chaos or whatever it is, or they have listed prices for
I think you're still doing the same thing though. If you can buy, so like let's say I did. I'm just gonna devil's advocate what you're talking about because I see where you're coming from. But let's say I need 2 exalts, and you have 2 exalts, but I don't have 2 exalts. So I'm gonna say to you, hey, look, I'm gonna trade you this item for 2 exalts, and you go, okay, fine. And then you're going to trade me an item for 280 chaos. And now you've just gotten the 280 chaos, which is the value of the 2 exalts. And I've gotten the 2 exalts.
Yeah, but that's a totally different situation. You have gear worth 2 exalts.
No, I don't.
In another situation?
I'm saying I don't. No. I'm saying.
Well, then why would somebody, I mean, in a world where we're trusting each other between you and me, that makes sense. If I go online.
No, but all I'm saying is I get where you're coming from, but what will happen is they'll develop 100%. They'll develop something, a website or something where you can still trade for currency and you're just tossing an item in there. You're just tossing an item like a random rare or a random item. And that person's going to give you 2 exalts. And then you're going to trade them 280 or whatever the value is of those 2 exalts.
Sure.
So you're still going to be able to buy currency.
Throw that out though. What do you think of the question? What do you think of a market that's just for items?
Yeah, I don't. I like
where you
being able to buy currency.
Depend on somebody else's stash to get what you need for crafting.
I like buying currency. If I want some scrolls of wisdom or some chromatics, the rate I'm going to get it on trading with another person is far better than what I'm going to get it in game.
Yeah, I think it takes away from the game.
Why though?
Because gear needs to be the cornerstone. You shouldn't
gear is always
depend on other people for every aspect of your build.
Gear is always the cornerstone though. I get where you're coming from. I don't like it. I like to be able to buy currency. I think no matter what, people would find a way around it.
Maybe from that regards, that's something GG could always work on. But for me, I've always felt like being able to trade anything means you really don't have to earn too much. You know what I mean? You can scrape by and then you're paying somebody to enhance yourself. You just get enough. Okay, now I got this piece and now I can go. Like if it was just gear,
you don't trade.
No, but that's just personal preference.
I like being able to. If I need some particular type of currency, I like to be able to just trade somebody for chaos, like wisdom scrolls. I need wisdom scrolls. I don't want to go and sell off random stuff for.
Well, you only have to have 40 in your inventory at once, or 20. You don't have to pick them up very often.
All right. So this was a really long. How was your POE week?
Well, how much longer? You're still enjoying your build, right?
Yep.
Well, I have 11 days left of PC life.
Oh, yeah?
My wife has warned me. She messaged me from where she's working and said that my PC days are numbered. The knitting expansion for Sims comes out July 28th.
It's time for a second computer or a laptop.
Hey, you talk. Yeah,
I'm
you're
gonna
not going to
message
get
her.
an argument from me.
I'm going to message her.
And
You're like,
wait.
"Hey,
Did
I
you
think
say
I might have one."
laptop?
Yeah.
You would actually play with me if I was playing on a laptop.
Why would you do the laptop? She could then play Sims anywhere she wants. That's how you sell it. Hey, listen, honey.
Yeah,
You can play.
You know what
Sims.
always gets them? Baby girl.
Baby girl. You could play Harvest or not Harvest. You could play Sims anywhere
on
you
the
want.
deck.
Yeah. You want to go?
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. Enjoy that beautiful fresh air while mating people or whatever they do in Sims.
I wouldn't doubt that Sims is harder on the PC than POE. I wouldn't doubt it.
No, it's not.
EA sucks at everything. It's never in the game.
It's not.
Anyway, I've been warned.
Yeah, you're going to be kicked off soon. So I got to find a new partner for Forever Exiled. So you've heard it here, folks. This is Tyler's retirement.
That's right. I get one more week, and then only once my wife's.
Oh, you're going to miss some good episodes.
Oh,
dang.
You know, that laptop.
Yeah.
Hey, Schmoops, you listening?
Yeah, it's time for.
What do you think
time
about a
for
laptop?
I think it just makes sense. You deserve one. Not Tyler. Anyway, okay, so let's get into this week because we are, edited wise, probably at around 45 minutes already.
Okay, well, we'll just call it right after this week in POE land. There we go.
All right, this week in
Thaumaturgy
POE.
hideout.
What do you think? Yeah, cool. I actually don't mind it.
I don't know what happened if my phone's not giving me the proper banners or anything, but I didn't see half of these notifications.
No, they didn't show up.
Thaumaturgy hideout came out. It's kind of neat. It's the theme from one of the previous mystery boxes. As a hideout, I think it looks kind of cool. It's that we both liked the mystery box concept of, creator and created,
Mm-hmm.
So it looks pretty cool. I saw the video. Looks neat. I wish I could unlock it, but I can't. And Bloom has been a big topic. All of a sudden, I don't know. I don't remember people complaining about the visuals of the game too much. Though, granted, I'm not GGG. I don't get all their complaints, but I don't remember there being certain avenues completely flooded with complaints about Bloom. And I'll explain what that is in a sec. Not very well, of course. But then all of a sudden this week, people are just crying about it. And there's this big thing about it. And so then, of course, poor GGG, they have to come out with another one of their explanation posts about this is what we intend. This is what it's supposed to do. And it's not as simple as you think it is. It's actually extremely complicated, and it's for the better of the game. So anyway, Bloom was introduced. It's supposed to be like a POE 2 concept of making things brighter, but also not use as much memory or not being as taxing on the computer, right? It's supposed to help you see. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say Bloom's existed for a super long time through games. They're trying to revamp it and fix it for POE 2.
Right, and we're talking like all bits of shiny stuff, right? Like they use the example of the little glitter that you get, not glitter, the glint, the shimmer off your sword. That's really dull, all the way to how bright those blue dots are on the ground after you've killed those blue spores, all over the map. And it's always been a part of the game. They've obviously revamped it for POE 2, as we said, and it's one of those POE 2 implementations that they're giving us now to try and work on it prior. And I don't know. I think the game looks fantastic, but there's certain skills where it just was too much, way too much. I noticed it a little bit on my, and I actually liked it the old way. And I'm very sensitive to light with my concussion stuff. But my, what's it called? Rainmaster, Trickmaster. What's the scary clown costume I have? Ringmaster. The Ringmaster weapon effect got toned down, and I'm sensitive to light, and I like the old version. But anyway, they came out with a huge explanation post saying, this is actually how complicated it is. This is the intention of it. we know that there's certain skills or MTX or monsters that our new implementations don't work well with. We're aware of them. If you know of any, please continue to let us know. And I'd like to add nicely, okay? Because there's a billion things in the game. So just say it nice, then they know, and then they'll fix it, okay? And yeah, I don't know. It was a big thing, but out of nowhere this week, I just started seeing wham, wham, bloom, bloom, wham, wham, bloom, bloom.
Did you actually see posts complaining about it? Because I did.
Tons, okay. Yeah. Lots of Reddit stuff. I was really surprised. And I don't know, like I'm extremely sensitive to it. Granted, I'm only playing one build, but I don't know. I think it looks great.
So I feel like you have to be relatively nitpicky or very graphically motivated when you're playing a game or looking at something for it to be to the point where you're going to complain about it. Bloom is basically what gives you that shiny, that brightness in a game. And it's never been the greatest in Path of Exile, but I feel like you have to be super, super sensitive to light for it to be so. If it's actually affecting you in a negative way, I feel like what most people go with it just don't like it. They go, well, I don't like the way that the bloom looks. Well, first off, you're playing a game from 2011 that has granted been graphically increased and does look better than when it first came out, but relax a little bit. Path of Exile 2 is going to be coming out and is obviously quite a bit forward on that end.
As Pocahontas said, it's just around the river bend.
We'll see.
Can I sing it?
The argument that most of them have is not realistic, and that's just, well, give us an option to turn it off. And people do that all the time. People always, they don't like something and they say, well, we just want an option to turn it off. For those people, just read their post and at least understand why they can't just turn it off. That's not really an option because, I mean, their best explanation is, look, if we turn it off, then you don't graphically see what the artist wanted you to see with regards to skills being used, textures in the game, backgrounds in the game, the zones you're in. They can't just turn it off. So,
and it's integrated, it's convoluted, it's in every aspect of the game. It's not just
the argument of just like, well, we want an option to turn it off is not realistic. And the argument of we just want it turned off is from the same type of people who complain like, well, this isn't the league I want, so I'll never play. Knock yourself out. Go find another game. We'll see you next league. I promise you're going to be back and you might play for a bit and then you'll bitch about the bloom or whatever you're going to find. But I didn't pay attention to Reddit this week. I've avoided Reddit much more in the last little bit since all this stuff happened. So I didn't see anything. Whatever. People are going to complain about something if they can find something to complain about. Bloom's not new. This argument about bloom is not new. It's just
okay.
I feel like maybe it's just become a focal point because they're not playing Harvest. I don't know. I have no
maybe.
idea.
But you know, maybe there's stuff we haven't seen that is really bad. I don't know. Maybe some of the bloom additions were, remember you and I at the beginning of the league when we were playing, when I finally caught up, you were just this big black square that took over 2/3 of my screen. It was MTX related at some point. You played naked and it was awesome. And it didn't impact us. Maybe it was bloom related. Maybe bloom has other aspects that we haven't seen, but at the same time, you report it and it'll get fixed.
Well, it might. It might not. It might be something that they meant to be. If you're seeing something, like I said, some people are just sensitive to that bright type of light or something. And so sure, like report it if you think that it's acting in a way that it shouldn't, but don't report it expecting that it should be changed. Certainly make your report and go like, hey, I'm not sure if this is right or this is bothering me or can you look into it? But don't have the attitude of like, well, I said it, so you must do it.
I saw there was a tweet. Oh man, I feel so embarrassed for this person on one of their, I think it was you know how they do patch notes, but then they'll come out like 3 days before, 2 days before. Here's what the patch notes are probably going to look like, but it hasn't been implemented yet.
Yeah.
Somebody, now it's just one person. So I'm just making fun of the one person. And they're one of those people that has their picture of themselves, I assume, as their Twitter picture. So they're older. I would expect that there would be a little bit more understanding, but they're like, hey, I submitted a bug. I didn't hear back from you and it's not in the patch notes.
Really?
That's I know awesome. It's just one person. And as a guide writer, I'm really grown into understanding when to respond and when not to. I'm still learning, of course, but I'm a lot more improved than I used to be. It took a lot. It took a lot to just let it be. I can't imagine. Like they must have GGG. They must have some hilarious parties and inside jokes, like on their Pizza Friday or whatever they would have. You know what I mean? The stuff they make fun of us
Remember
for.
what that guy
All of us
said?
whiny customers and complainers.
Yeah. Anyway, so it is what it is. I'm sure it will look better in Path of Exile 2. Bloom's an issue in every single game you play. Some people are super sensitive, some people aren't. It's not been great in Path of Exile since the beginning, and it is what it is. Like, it's an older game, so don't have the attitude of just turn it off because or that you want it to just turn off, because you really need to understand why. That's not always possible to just go. I've had that argument, not for Bloom, but for like effects. Like, I don't want to see your effects when I'm playing with you, but I can't have the attitude of like, well, just turn it off. You can't just turn it off. Anyway, whatever.
But that you got to admit, though, that'd be cool if there was an option to turn off your ally MTXs.
Yeah,
that would be 100%.
Cool. Yeah. I agree.
Oh my goodness, I could play with you if I took off your stupid magma orb
green things. That was awesome.
Oh, I'll never forget that league.
All right, so other changes this week. We had a stash tab sale, which is awesome. Right in time to get those new stash tabs. Pick up all 3. The bundle's not on sale. It's still the same price.
But if you're one of those people that are penny pinching and you couldn't take advantage of a stash tab this week or this sale, they do it every 3 weeks.
You know, I have to say, I watch you stream when you're playing and we're playing together. I don't know how you play with as few as you have. I'm impressed.
Well,
you have so few stash tabs.
Oh yeah, well yeah, on PC. That's because I play till you burn out, and then I have them all on console. It's awesome. But on console, there's no drop down menu, man. There's no mouse.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
like
Yes,
right trigger, right trigger, right trigger, right trigger, right trigger. You can hold it down.
Oh, that's nonsense.
But there's a list, and I have specific stash tabs for each build. So I have like my slow mo tab, I have my enduring fire tab, or my happy RF. And so like I have more that are dedicated as well. And then because I'm too lazy to go through my stash, now I have like 3 righteous fire tabs that are completely full. And
all right, and then let's get into the patch of the week, really. 3.11.1c.
Good patch.
It was a good patch. Yep. Why don't you tell me? I loved all the harvest goodness. I'm not really going to go into detail because most people who are playing. Well, the thing is, patch notes, okay, if you would like me to, I could be like, storage tanks can now hold up to 1,000 condensed life force. Added a larger storage tank, which can be created. People can read that.
Keep it going, dude. That's just dirty talk. That's nasty.
So, oh my God, I love it. They made really good improvements to Harvest. If you're not, I think the problem is if you're not playing Harvest, you don't give a shit, right? If you're not playing the league and you're not playing Harvest, you don't care.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4 non-harvest patch fixes, bug fixes that I wanted to shout out.
Okay, yeah, you tell me yours.
But it was an office one. You know, like it's just basically if you to summarize it, if you like Harvest, this just made it way better.
Oh, it's so much better. Awesome. It makes it now. So I'll just quickly tell you why. If you are listening and you're debating coming back, you can store more stuff in your tanks now, which is it just makes building your actual like grove just way nicer. One thing that's actually really nice that screwed me is you can auto plant your seeds now while you have the craft option. Because what happened before is when you pop all your seeds, right? Sounds super dirty. Pop all your seeds. Oh,
you've had like 4 innuendos already.
Did it? Oh,
you said something about getting off at bedtime.
Oh, I did tell you something about that you got off or something. That happens all the time. So you pop off all your seeds. I'm going to try and find dirtier ways to say it. Anyway, all your seeds pop and you kill them and you go to craft, right? So you hit it's the bigger of the 2 circles. There's 2 circles right beside each other. And there's a big one like this, and then there's a little one like this.
A little bit lower than the other.
A little bit lower than the other. It just comes with age. So you hit the one to craft, that's the bigger one. But what happened is if you went to hit the little one by accident, which I did by mistake once, which is the auto plant, you lose all the crafts. Like it treats it as if you didn't want to do anything and you just lose them all. So
it's like getting sacked.
The fact that they added it now where you can hit the like auto plant without losing the craft, super nice.
Super.
Yeah. The rest of the stuff, you were bringing up one that I texted you because as soon as I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is Tyler all over it. And we couldn't even find any other instances of it in the whole game.
Well, not like we went looking, but we know everything. So what we're talking about, like, I don't know when it started. Maybe it was this. I assume it was this league because I don't remember it being an issue. I'm extremely with my concussion stuff. I don't mean to over talk about it or anything, but I'm like, with my concussion stuff, not only am I extremely light sensitive, but motion is a huge issue. The very first thing, I don't have to play any game. The first thing I'm doing is I'm looking for any type of screen shake option, turning it off. Love that this game has that. And all of a sudden, this league, we go to the Redeemer, right? Yeah, the spinny cloud girl. Yeah, oh, I like her. She's cool. She's got a cool. Whoever wrote her, I like her. Anyway, we go into her tower
arena,
and all of a sudden, I don't know why. I don't know what the value is of it, but all of a sudden the screen, it rotates, and I'm like, oh,
it did it last league. It's done it since the beginning.
No.
Yes, it has. Every single it's done
rotate.
Yeah, how it twists like that.
Oh, I don't know why, but it's
you must forget it right after it happens because every time we fought her, you're like, oh god.
Yeah, that's right. Guarantee me 2 portals for that one because my first portal is just me trying to get over,
trying to get up the stairs.
So out of nowhere, maybe this is where turn off the bloom, because they added in this patch, they added the camera rotation effects option to be able to be disabled. So maybe it's stuff like this that makes people think that anything else could just be disabled easily. Now I think that's cool. I'm obviously going to disable it, but it was funny because Justin and I were thinking about it. Where else in the game does the camera rotate? I know you mentioned there's like the zoom out on your way to Kitava.
There's a couple of them.
On a total side note, it's never going to happen because they've already said what the camera is going to look like for PoE 2, a little bit different. I wish the camera was always that far away. I know it won't be because you can't see the MTX as well, but oh my goodness, that distant camera on the way to Kitava.
There's a spot right as you're going into the Templar courts. And it's very odd to me. I've never been able to figure out why, but as you go to approach the door, the camera actually zooms out just a tiny bit. And those are the only spots that I can think of. I can't think of a rotate ever.
Yeah, those are all zoom outs. The only rotate I can think of.
Hers.
Is that? Yeah. I mean, maybe there's other content that I haven't
there's not.
Done, like certain prophecy fights or something. But yeah,
We've done everything.
By the way, I have yet to die in any hardcore character. Haven't made one. So here's a cool one. Yep. All vault doors are now automatically opened. This goes back to our last podcast. All vault doors are now automatically opened in a blighted vault map.
That's stupid.
I think that's awesome.
Fine, do it in every map though. Knock it off. That's
exactly my point. Yes. If now we know you can do it for Alva, you can do it for blighted maps.
Technology exists.
Do it for everyone. If the jail cells are loaded with zombies and skeletons, they probably would have pushed the door open anyway. So just leave them open. I doubt those like rezzers are going, hey, everybody back in their cells. Like,
it's bizarre to me that they picked one specific map and they're like, oh, you know what? The vault map for the blighted version. This isn't working for us. Let's auto open these. Like what?
Yeah. All the other doors stay closed. I did like this one. Fixed a bug where blocking a hit did not always count as having been hit for the sake of having been hit recently mods.
God, you just said so many words.
I know. So I have a max block guide that I write or that I have. And when you block, you take 0 damage, but you are still hit. Right. So it's a hit, but you take 0 damage. And so there was an issue where sometimes when you blocked, it didn't count as being hit. That was really nice for me to hear because for some reason, my max block gladiator hasn't been doing as much damage this league as it did last league. But all this league did was improve it. It's doing more damage. Nothing's changed except for actually adding more damage. And yet it's doing less damage than before. And I think that's a huge thing because I get perks based on how often I've been hit recently or within the last 10 seconds. So that was cool. And then the last one, I've been drooling about this, what do you call it, ascendancy node for a long time, but I've never gotten around to actually doing something about it. So in the champion, right, the duelist champion, there's a node called Master of Metal. So impales you inflict, you get 2 extra impales. You get a chance to impale on hit. If you've impaled an enemy, you and your allies get 1,000 armor. But this is the part of Master of Metal that I absolutely love. You and nearby allies deal 6 to 12 added physical damage for each impale on an enemy. So you could impale, but do 0 damage. You know what I mean? Like just have a cyclone or whatever that's constantly impaling, and you get 6 to 12 added physical damage for each impale. And that's all of your allies, you and nearby allies. Wouldn't that be so cool for a minion build? Like, think of something like SRS, and you're adding 6-7 impales. All of a sudden, you're getting like over 60 physical damage added per minion. Oh my goodness, that would be awesome. So anyway, they fixed a bug where the Master of Metal Ascendancy was not always granting physical damage.
That part you're talking about.
That's kind of a big deal, but oh my goodness. So that's why it came up. They fixed it so that it's working. But man, I've always wanted to do a minion build with the champion just for that node. Freaking love it.
Sweet.
The end.
Yeah, and then a bunch of fixes, which is great. They do it all the time. My favorite still, I go back to it every time I read their fixes, where it's like, fix the bug, fix the instance, fix blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And my favorite is still going back to the comment where somebody said, well, don't make it where it needs fixes right off the bat. It still makes me laugh every time, because I'm like, man, that guy has just got to have the perfect life. Like, he must not ever make a mistake. That's impressive.
Hey,
we should interview him.
If
find
we
out
can
how do you
hang
be
out
so
with
perfect.
Maybe it's a she. Maybe if we hang out with whoever they are for a week,
we need to rub off.
Oh my goodness,
a little bit.
We'd be floating. We'd have halos.
All right. So this week when we played, we did Sirus 6, I think. Can't remember what level I'm at with Sirus right now.
20.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious what most people's opinion is, but I hate that fight. We talked about this when we were playing. I get the fight now. I understand the mechanics of the fight. I understand where to move, how to move. I actually don't have a problem with killing him. He's relatively easy for me to kill now. He's just not a fun fight. I just don't. It's like you look at some of the more end game type bosses. You look at the Katavas, the Shapers, the Elder. I don't know almost any of the ones from Delve, but a lot of these boss fights, they're not bad. They're fun. I get it. It's not that I hate them. Sirus's is just his conquerors are way more enjoyable, and I hate Al-Hazrim or whatever his name is. But I like him 100 times more than Sirus. I just don't like the fight.
Do you know what? So if you're a regular listener, there's 2 games that I play. It's almost always Path of Exile, but there's 2 games that split my heart in half, and it's POE and it's the Dark Souls series. I really don't. I'm not trying to crush the boss designers at GGG if they ever hear this, but I don't like a lot of boss battles in Path of Exile. I don't think they're geared toward the global value of character building. They're very specific. There's just some battles that certain characters can't do, and I don't think that makes sense. Some side battles, some side bosses, sure, but it seems like they come up with neat battles. They make sense in lore world, and then they're thrown in, and then they hope that it works for the impossible amount of builds that are out there. But for example, you have 3 out of 4 conquerors that don't have ads. That's a problem for charge builds. That's a problem for flask builds. That's a problem for lots, right? You have off-screen damage all the time with Sirus, like to teleport and then hit you with something you can't. It's damage over time that's hitting you. It's not even something that you actually have the chance to block. It's just 100% resists. Like that's crazy. Dark Souls. Oh, and don't get us started on invisibility times or invincibility sessions, or what was it called, like timeline, moments of invincibility. Like when you play Dark Souls, you almost every single boss battle you can hit anytime you want, and you can deal damage anytime you want. Now there are going to be some times where it's very stupid to try and hit and do damage because you're going to take a ton of damage, but you aren't limited by animations. You know what I mean? Even when there's certain like fume knights and stuff, when they're buffing themselves and, making them stronger, they take reduced damage, but you can still deal damage if you want. It's all about like when you deal the damage is based on player choice, not enemy choice. And I think that's what a battle is. And I really don't actually enjoy a lot of the major end battles. For example, you look at the Chimera, that fog sequence, that's really dumb. Like chasing a fog and guessing, like certain builds can do that no problem, but it's not, like you said, it's not fun. Sirus, not fun, right? So I get that they need to be hard, and I love a hard boss battle, right? I'm a Dark Souls freak. I love a hard boss battle, but I don't find these enjoyable. I do them because I do them. I do them because it's part of the completionist attitude. I do them because they drop stuff. I don't like a lot of the required boss battles. Sirus, I get a lot of feedback in being a guide writer. I get a lot of feedback. Just personal opinions. People just post, not even unrelated to my guide. I have yet to find somebody that actually, now I don't talk to everybody, but I have yet to find somebody that actually enjoys the Sirus battle. Like you, people do it. People can find it easy. People can find it hard and still enjoy a boss battle, or people can find a boss battle difficult, but still enjoy it. I have not heard one person that's like, I like it.
It needs to be zoomed out if it's going to be better. It's really hard to tie POE bosses to Dark Souls. It's just not the same. Like Dark Souls is all about anticipating the damage, trying to figure out what the boss's move sets are. I don't find that in Path of Exile because there is typically such a focus on just like burn it down, which you can't do in Dark Souls. There's no,
but there's rules in Dark Souls, right? And the rules here are totally different. Look at I get them mixed up all the time. Not the Redeemer. Who's the other? Baron.
Yep.
I always think like he's lightning, but he's red. Is that the guy?
Sure.
He's a warlord. Is that it? And it doesn't make sense in my head. So Baron, for example, with the exception of those stupid squares that actually reduce your mana and your health, I like that battle. It'd be nice to have ads too, but he has good tells. I like being able to, his battle makes sense. To me, that's like a Dark Souls battle, right? I die when I'm an idiot. I can't do damage all the time because a lot of the times I'm just getting out of the way because he does this quick attack or this quick cast, and like I'm just getting out of the way a lot. And that's a good boss battle. I could, if I wanted to risk it, getting hit and deal damage. He doesn't really have those invincibility phases. Like there's some well-made ones that remind me of the same rules of other good boss battle games, but a lot of these bosses don't.
The mechanics to Sirus can be cool, but you're too zoomed in. He is very often off the screen. You have to listen to audio tells, which I don't mind that either, to try and figure them out. But sometimes they're just, I don't like that I'm trying to debate when I'm going to dash with something that I cannot see because it's, he's somewhere off the screen right now. And I'm like, oh God, please. It's actually, there's one part with Shaper that can sometimes happen, which is when you're being protected by Xana and you've got those purple balls that are going out that will one-shot everyone. Yeah. You have to be very, very quick because by the time that the purple balls stop and she removes her shield, within like half a second, Shaper does whatever his next attack is.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to dash, you're like smashed by the beam or something. And he's not on the screen. So you're trying to like figure out, usually, sometimes he can be on the screen. You got lucky, but quite often.
But it's a dumb rule that he can be off the screen. It is. And the fact that it happens so quickly after these almost guaranteed one-shot balls or circles are there. Like that's the only part I don't like about that battle, but it is a very stupid part that is going to use up your portals. Mm-hmm. But Sirus, he's invincible while he's up in that stupid throne while he's floating. There's huge red circles for zero reason. People that are learning the fight are going to use up all their life flasks just figuring it out. One of the circles moves and rotates. He can hover over it. There's a maze. The maze is so dumb.
The one thing I do like, at least about him, I like and dislike. I like the fact that if you die to him and you lose all your portals, you haven't screwed up your atlas. You can still keep progressing and it just resets. It's as if you beat him and now you can just go through and continue to kill conquerors and they'll drop. I like that, but I don't like the fact that I wish there was maybe some option to go try him again because it's really hard to learn the fight. It's really, really hard to learn the fight. If we talked about this, I think with Octavian, where you're just constantly progressing him and you could just not put those watchstones in. But if you didn't kill him and you didn't learn the fight, now you're just progressing the atlas even further to potentially make him even more difficult. And you haven't had a chance to be like, What the hell happened? Like, why did I just die? So anyway, that's just me going on a little rant about Sirus, but
I think that no, I don't like the Sirus. It's a good thing to talk about. Like it sucks that their primary boss is a battle that very few people enjoy. You know what I mean? Failure doesn't mean people aren't enjoying it, but
I like it for the loot.
The battle makes no sense. Like how? Well, no, just like the maze. Like I'm playing POE. Like get this maze. Like I don't want. I hate labs. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like the off-screen teleport. Oh, red circle.
All right, I was just bringing it up. Calm it down.
Anyway, so, well, here, like I do like though, at least for the practice. I mean, it does take a long time to get the influence back up and to get through all of those things, but you can at least to practice him, take out all the watchstones, and it doesn't really change much. And that is a really cool thing because we brought up, and maybe we can talk about it in our next podcast, but we were talking about the syndicate, how people, just so they don't have to get rid of all of their work with the syndicate and all the specific alliances or rivalries that they have, they get reset when you beat the final boss. Is it okay to say who the final boss is? She was my favorite. But yeah, when you beat Katarina, then it resets it all. So people intentionally don't play it. And we could talk about that another time. But I do like that this doesn't screw up your Atlas in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you know what I'm very surprised with? When did this get added? 3.9 was this new end game, right?
Something like that, yeah.
This is our third league with Sirus.
Yeah.
Right?
The Conquerors.
Okay. Yeah. In 3.0, GGG added a revamped help section, revamped tutorial section, pop-ups that show you what type of support gems when you're highlighting it on the purchase screen or reward screen, if they work with whatever skills. Like they just revamped as much as they could, and I thought they did an awesome job for new players. I am baffled. We are 3 leagues in, and there is nothing about the Atlas in the help section. 0. Like there's nothing about influence. There's nothing about, and sure, you might be able to click on the help icon that shows all the HUD details when you're in the Atlas that tells you, you know, what you get per Awakener bonus or anything. But there's nothing. There's like nothing. I went to go see because.
What would you like to see?
Anything?
Like what?
Nobody even knows what influence. If you're new to the game, you don't even know what influence is.
Well, it does tell you, like Xana's quest. Like tells you to explore.
Come on.
Hey, they at least added the markers on the Atlas on the left-hand side.
Oh, well, sure, those are perks, but I'm thinking about a new person that they're in the help section. They're like, oh, okay, that's a prefix, that's a suffix. I can come back to that because that's really freaking confusing now, but I can come back to that. Okay, that's the difference between a normal item and a magic item. Okay, that's great. Now you're fine. Like this is your first playthrough. You've gotten the maps. There's nothing about the most important part of the game in the help section.
You know what I want to know? I think this would actually be very interesting to find out. How many new people actually go into the help section of the game? Because I
would love to know that.
I bet you it's not very many. And the reason that I say that is because there's YouTube. And I know you don't, and the argument shouldn't be like, well, GGG doesn't need to do it because there's YouTube videos to watch it and you can find out about it. But it is true. I mean, you will learn quite a bit more about the intricacies of Path of Exile watching somebody's video that's about Path of Exile versus the help section.
Oh, sure. But a game, if you and I were to make a game, we would still want to do our due
screw
diligence.
A help section. No.
Even if it was, hey, check out our wiki.
I'd be
in the help
YouTube
section.
it.
Like then
Google it.
Whatever. Like, but you still you kind of do your due diligence as somebody if you want your game to grow in multiple avenues of the types of people that play.
Yeah. I'm curious how many people actually look into the help section because I've just never looked at it, and I'm just curious if what you were just saying there were a new players like, oh, this is a prefix and a suffix. Oh, this do they do that? Is that a thing? Do new players do that? I'm really curious. I don't think they do. I don't think. You know
what I wanted to do? I actually went in there because I was looking to see there was one area I don't have favorite maps unlocked, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I just want to double check. Like I'm pretty sure I know, but I want to double check what it takes for me to unlock it because I can't on console highlight those blocked out
Oh, you
nodes.
can't. Oh, okay.
No, I honestly, I don't even know if you can highlight it on PC, and then it
You
tells
can.
you if it's actually grayed
It
out.
tells you what you need to do to unlock it.
Oh, okay. Because on console, you can't, if it's locked, you can't highlight it.
Oh,
It only
interesting.
tells you if you've unlocked one. Now, if I've unlocked one favorite and then I go highlight that one circle on the far left, it'll tell me what I need for the other two. But if I
but
have
not to
0
unlock it. Oh,
unlocked,
interesting.
I can't bring up that HUD, that menu.
I've never actually checked that
So
part. I'm not
I
sure.
went into the help section and be like, okay, I'm pretty sure I just need to get all the bonuses for the tier maps, and I couldn't find it. So I mean, I looked it up and I got my answer, but that's the kind of stuff that the game needs, and then that's a small detail.
That's what Google's for.
Sure,
today.
sure.
Everybody's
it still
got one
needs
of
to be
these
in the
little
game.
guys, a little cell phone right beside them.
Yeah,
Who doesn't want to Google while they're playing a game?
I want to sit down and play. That shouldn't be hard. That shouldn't be hard. So anyway, that's my thing.
That's your thing.
I'd love to redo the help section for you, GGG. I'll
Oh
do
my
it for
God,
you.
it would be pages long.
Oh, it'd
Pages
be
long.
glorious.
And if anyone
I'd
is
color code
those
it.
poor people on our Discord, if you've seen his drawings and his charts that he's got, it's just
Bring it. I got it. Now, for that region that I mentioned, this is a total side note and it's not important at all, but I actually thought it was kind of silly. Maybe it's an oversight, maybe not. The Val Temple, I think it's a T16 only.
T16,
and the only way to get it is, well, through other rare random chances, but for the most part, you get it by corrupting. Or I guess this is the old way. I don't actually know how you actually get it now. It used to be that you would have to corrupt one of the T16 maps, which was the old Guardians, right? Like the Minotaur, the Hydra, whoever it was, and you would corrupt it, and then it had a chance of changing which map it was, and one of the 5 T16 maps was Val Temple. I guess there's other ways to get it now because they've changed how it works.
It's
so
way
I don't
easier
know how
now.
common it is. Is it a normal map drop?
I can't say for sure if it's a normal map drop, but it's very, very common for Xana maps, like for Xana Quest, which will give you the credit for it. And you can also, you could Horizon Orbit. And now even with Harvest, there's ways of changing a map to the same tier and it focuses on ones that you haven't learned yet. So it is a lot easier to get it now than it used to be.
I'm curious because what I was going to say was I can't unlock any favorites for that region because I haven't done the bonus for Val Temple yet. So this is in Valdo's Rest,
Yep.
that region, that neighborhood.
Mhm.
And I haven't had a Val Temple drop for me. So I can't favorite any map yet because I don't have all the maps. And I was surprised that Val Temple, that doesn't have the same type of drop rules as other maps of that tier, I was surprised that it was included in the requirement to have map bonuses to unlock my favorites. So I don't know if it's an oversight or if it's planned. You know, there's a certain amount of hate that I reserve for you in my heart. So even if you're nice to me sometimes, I still slightly
It's really common with Xana maps. Like when she's in your like higher tier, like 15 or whatever, it's really common.
You know, it's funny. I don't actually even look at what map I'm doing for Xana. I'm always looking at the quantity or if it's special, like if it has some sort of influence or cortex or something, but I'm not actually looking at which map it is. So maybe
I alt on her maps all the time and check to see if they're show completed because that's the easiest way for me to look if I'm going to unlock it.
Well, my Atlas is done except for that one. So
yeah,
I never even thought about
standard.
Oh, which is awesome.
This podcast is for League players. I'm just kidding.
That's right.
To those 3 standard players. Sorry.
Now, last episode, you brought up the tags that were associated to mods that were added to the game just recently, last patch. I think it was actually last Friday for us. So you hold, now, just to explain what it is, when you hold Alt or whatever it is, hold left on the analog stick, when you get the detailed description of all of your mods on an item.
Stick?
It's for when you're playing Flight Simulator with your joystick.
Oh, with your joystick.
Remember those days? Click,
so
click, click,
left analog
joystick.
on a joystick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So anyway, you would hold down Alt, and instead of it just telling you the tier that mod is and the range that it could roll, it also tells you the type of tag that craft has associated to it, maybe more than one. And so you brought that up last podcast because it was added in a patch, which is really cool. It makes Harvest a lot easier, but then you also had the idea that maybe because they're adding this to the game globally, as far as you knew, like it was in the normal trade league as well, that maybe they were actually going to be doing something harvest crafting wise in the core game once harvest is done. So that was something that you brought up and we talked about. So when I loaded console this week, I completely forgot about that conversation because I never listened to you anyway. And I noticed that even on standard on console, I have those tags as well. Now, I guess that doesn't help us in any way try and sneakily find anything out, but it does kind of encourage the thought that, wow, okay. I mean, I guess maybe from a coding perspective, gear is gear, so it's not league specific.
Maybe it's easy
so
for them
everywhere.
to just do it. And so they did it just to appease people, but hopefully not.
I did notice, and it was kind of neat. Like, I just like stats, even if I don't need them. I'm just like, oh, cool, that's a fire tag. That's
life. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, so anyway, but I just thought I'd add it that I saw it on standard on console as well.
There's nothing for minions. Just saying.
Hey, man, that's all right. Apparently, minions are still really strong, even though they just kept getting beaten to the dirt.
I noticed you're still holding on to your ranking for your filter. You're holding on to number 9. You know, you are 15?
I'm only
13. 13 away from 8th.
Take that, AAA loot filter, Alex. I am coming for you. I am, unless you listen, don't encourage anybody that's following your filters to sign. Just automatically follow mine just for fun.
Yeah, just do it just to help Tyler get to 8th. Let's see if we can get him to 8th.
As soon as I get 8th, because 8th is technically
you can't
first
go
place.
Anywhere from there. You're not going to get up to 7th. It's just
Neversink has the top 7 filters.
He's not going anywhere.
First place is technically 7th place, kind of like how last episode I was talking about podiums top 5 instead of top 3. So 8th would be awesome. Alex, I am coming for you.
Yeah, you're so close. You're 13
It's actually
away.
been kind of exciting because I actually passed Tie Killer like a couple of weeks ago, and just as a personal victory.
I think you messaged me about it.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, it's just personal victories. It's nothing important, but it was just
it's life or death.
It's fun little races when you just do filters for fun, but you see yourself with these other names. It's kind of.
I was laughing to you this week though when we were talking about it because I use a customized version of Neversink's. Like typically once we get this far into a league, it's a very strict a version of his that I edit. But I'm telling you, I don't know what it is with his item filter, but if you live in my house and there are multiple floors and you could be very far away. If I have my speakers playing, you know when a red map drops. I don't know why, but it is so loud when a red map drops. It's hilarious. Awesome. And I have never wanted to adjust it because I like it now. And now that it's more common, it's like, wah, wah, wah. Like you could be throughout my house no matter where, and you just hear this noise, especially if like you go into a temple with the maps that drop. Oh my God. Like my whole room will shake when I open some of those because
that's awesome.
Like screw Exalt drops. Give me those red maps. Give me those red maps.
Do you do the Shaper voice for your Exalts?
No, I did. I don't.
Exalted Orb.
No, I'm going to wait till you do one of those. That's what you should do. Do a terrible voice.
Should I practice the Shaper voice?
No, please don't. Let's move on.
No, I'll do it.
No.
But wait, does it do like a huge sound for T11s?
If it's red, it is.
Really?
Yep. It's awesome.
It has a different sound for T15s or 16s.
I don't think so. I'd have to double check, but it's amazingly loud. It's not a complaint. I love it. I could change it. I don't. It's purposefully kept to that level. So
maps are my favorite. Maps are my absolute favorite drop. I'd rather have maps drop than anything else. And but I do have like it's loud for reds, but it's special for 15s and 16s. Remember a long time ago I was talking about SRS and it was missing some very vital information. Well, okay, maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
it feels
fire.
Like forever, but it was maybe,
fire conversion.
Yeah. So it was missing a very vital piece of information regarding how that skill functions, and it's
in the actual description of the skill in game.
So in game, when you hover the gem and you get all the information you need, it doesn't tell you. SRS doesn't tell you that it actually converts 50% of damage to fire.
Yep.
That's a big problem.
Yep.
And so since then, I've been noticing other things as well. And Hellman 101 on our Discord was
Hellman 01.
Sorry, Hellman. My apologies. So Dr. Hell was playing with Animated Guardians. And I guess they've never played around with Animated Guardians. And when you've played for a while, you kind of forget where you've read or where you know your knowledge from. For me, I always thought SRS. I was surprised just recently after playing for years and having SRS as my favorite skill. I just found out that SRS doesn't have that vital information in the gem. And Hellman found another one for Animate Guardian.
Yeah,
so
this one's pretty
Animate
bad.
Guardian, this is
way
like
worse.
the worst one.
Yeah.
This is the worst one. If you are playing Animated Guardian, you can buff your allies, you can be so strong, and it is an extremely strong gem.
You should explain what it does. Yeah.
Okay, so Animate Guardian is a weird minion where you can actually take an equipped item and make your Animate Guardian equip it. Now, they don't, if that...
There's no UI for it. It's literally like you put the item down, you cast the skill.
Yeah, you cast Animate Guardian.
Essentially wears it.
Animate Guardian picks it up, wears it. Now, it doesn't like change the Animate Guardian doesn't change its skill. The Animate Guardian as a guardian is just going to slap people with a melee attack. You can choose to make that offensive or not if you want. Most people just use them as an insane support for their build. So they would use items that increase their allies. They would give them like the death breath. There's
a lot of different
staff.
things.
There's tons of stuff that they would use. One very popular but a very expensive one on a regular basis is called the Kingmaker. And that's a nice two-handed axe, I think it is, where it gives your allies fortify and some other really cool stuff. Anyway, it's not cheap. So it's an extremely powerful gem, is my point. So the con to it, because it's so powerful, is if your Animated Guardian dies, all those items get destroyed. Not dropped, destroyed. So you have to take very careful care of your Animate Guardian, or, which I hate doing, but I mean, it makes perfect sense, unsocket it for certain super hard hitting battles or maps that you might not want to lose those items on. There is one mod in your crafting bench. I don't know about Harvest, but in your normal crafting bench, there's one mod that you can only put on a chest piece, and it only applies to the chest piece where it says, if your Animate Guardian dies, I mean, I'm modifying the term a bit, but if your Animate Guardian dies, this chest piece will drop. So it won't get destroyed, but everything else still gets destroyed. And poor Hellman, I feel so bad for you, but that getting destroyed part, when your Animate Guardian dies, all your items get destroyed. That's not in the gem description.
No, nowhere.
If you don't if you don't read the wiki for every single one of your skills, you are going to play like Hellman. It's an extremely strong skill. You're going to invest huge amounts of currency into making it an extremely strong support. And poor Hellman thought that his filter was broken. He's like, where's all the items? What happened? Did I miss it? Like, what's going on? He thought there was a glitch. I don't know. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that that isn't in the game, that there isn't anything in the game that tells you your items actually are gone.
That was when we were playing together on Monday when that came up in Discord, and I actually didn't even realize that it wasn't. Like, we both were like, no, there's no way, and went to the wiki to pull it up and then pulled it up in game as well. It doesn't lose it if it despawns, if the Animate Guardian somehow despawns, but if it dies, it does, your items disappear, and it is very weird that that's not put somewhere into the gem description. Really, really bizarre. It has to be just an overlook. Like, it's, the thing with SRS, we talked about it. It is something that should be in there, but it's not, you're not going to get screwed by it. In fact, most of the time you're probably going to benefit a little bit from it. But this one's bad, especially if you've gone to that level of, investing in what's being worn by your Guardian. And yeah, that sucks.
Oh, it's by far the worst. Back to SRS, fire conversion does screw stuff because minions do physical damage by default, unless otherwise noted. And so if you're doing something like Flesh and Stone, Maim, Pride, that's all increasing the amount of physical damage. Yeah, but you can fix that.
Once you find out, all I'm just saying is when you find out, you can adjust it.
It's not a big deal. Yeah.
Right. Whereas this one,
Animate Guardian is just 100% up yours. Bad. Oh, it's so bad. So I went to go play with my slow-mo zombies build that I have, and I added Animate Guardian to it this time around. And that was probably just for my sake, because I removed it because of this. But I went to go check out my Animate Guardian. I'm like, okay, shoot, what do I have on it again?
There's no UI. It's really dumb.
Right. there's no way to know what you have equipped on your Animate Guardian.
It is a little weird that they don't give you not the ability to remove it, but just like a little GUI or something that lets you see, like, hey, this is what your dude's wearing.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to improve the melee weapon because I actually cared about their melee damage, how on earth would I remember? How on earth? It's so weird that I can't tell what's on my Animate Guardian. That just weird. So weird. So anyway,
it is weird.
Let's write it up. Bug reports.
Tyler's on it, guys. Don't worry.
You bet.
I want you to write a bug report so that when this comes out in a patch notes, we can be like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
There's no way anyone has ever known before.
That's right. No, but you know what? Those are things though. If you notice, like, yeah, they suck. Oh my goodness, are they, in our opinions, ginormous oversights? But those are the things when, you know, you hope to take emotion out of it. Go write that bug report. Go write that. I mean, I'm happy to do it for you, but you know, send that feedback.
It would be good for other people because I'm pretty sure Tyler's are overlooked right now.
I think I go to a specific folder.
They're like, when we're bored, we'll look at those ones.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
These are probably meant to be, but we'll read them later.
As designed.
That's all right. We need to wrap this episode up because this one's going long. What's your newbie tip of the week, Ty? What you got?
Well, we're kind of getting to the stage of a league where like people that don't only play Path kind of start to fade out of the league a bit. I mean, maybe not, but you know,
that's usually
this is where player about a month and a bit is when you know, players start looking for something else and then they just start waiting for the next league's information. So if you're a new player and you didn't really progress the way you wanted to, or you didn't, you know, it was kind of frustrating, you felt like you sucked the whole time, don't be discouraged. It's totally cool to take a break. Don't feel like you have to understand it or master it or even have accomplished your own personal goals for the thing. It's okay to take a break. I remember once, this is very important, this story. Okay. I remember my very second time playing Dark Souls 1 when it first came out. And I was terrified of the entire game. I got my shield up everywhere I'm going, even if it's in town, because I didn't know that town was safe. I have my shield up and I have my little spear and I'm just like molasses everywhere, terrified of the game. I go to fight this horrendous boss battle called, what is it, the Four Kings? Oh, Justin, I don't know if you remember that freaking battle, but let's just say
I never had a problem with
it. I spent so much time trying to beat that, and I couldn't. Up yours.
It is a cool fight.
It is a cool fight now. Yeah. But I spent so much time that first playthrough. I actually took a month off from the game, went back, you know, still sucked at it, but I ended up beating it. But breaks are good. Don't worry about it. Come back strong, or at least happy.
Or just try harder.
Don't be discouraged.
I'm just kidding. Want to know what my new tip of the week is?
No, I don't.
Just so you know, your Animate Guardian will lose its items when it dies. I'm just kidding.
Pro tip.
That's definitely that. It should say that on the friggin' thing. Mine is actually relatively simple, but it's just more a recommendation. When you're playing through the acts, before you kill Act 10 Kitava, go do your third lab, because you can do up to your third lab by that. Well, you can just go run. What's that blood place in Act 9? Just go run it a bunch to level up, get some gear. The reason I say that is because when you kill Kitava in Act 6 and then Act 10, you're going to see your resist take a beating. So if you do your third lab before you kill him, you will have plus 30 to all of your, 30 rough? I think you'll have 30 more resists to each of your fire, cold, and lightning than you will once you kill Act 10 Kitava. So especially if it's your first character, because you won't have a lot of good gear maybe waiting for you or whatever. But if you do your third lab, or all of them, really finish all of your first three labs before beating Act 10 Kitava, you'll get some extra resist before you lose them.
And that place that Justin was mentioning to level up a little bit, if you're too under leveled for your third lab, that was Blood Aqueducts in Act 9 is what Justin means.
Yeah, just keep control clicking it, run a bunch of them. It's a good spot to farm also for Tabula.
And some nice corrupted. It's almost always got a corrupted section. You're welcome.
That's our best noob stuff for you. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't think of one when we first started, and I walked out to go grab a drink, and I said to my kid, I'm like, what would you say? What's a good noob tip? And he's like, well, you put me on the spot. And I'm like, well, what would you say? don't die. I'm like, oh, come on. Don't die.
So
Good
this
Lord.
is a family newbie tip of the week.
Don't die.
No, I'm assuming he came up with this
No,
one?
I came up with that one. That's what they gave me. Don't die. That's what these people I talked to gave me. So I had to come up with my own. Third lab. Do it before you kill Acten Kitava.
It is a good one. I'll steal it.
All right, let's wrap up episode 37, Forever Exiled. Thanks a lot for joining us and listening. Again, this is episode 37, Forever Exiled, the Path of Exile podcast. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days. That hurts my throat.
Yeah, you definitely don't have the laugh of a god or whatever it was. That intro is coming back,
Chuckle.
people. So it'll be back. You'll hear it again. We just can't spoil it with you every time. You can check out below for our show notes. We've got a website, foreverexiled.com. You can find us on Twitterverse at foreverexiled82. We have Discord. Our link. Okay, so our Discord, I'm going to try and add a link to our website as well. The Discord link is in our description. Sometimes it just has the invite link. Hopefully it'll work for you. If not, just message us. We'll get you in there. And a link to our Patreon if you want to check that out. Thanks a lot again for joining us, and we will catch patrons in After Dark and everybody else in episode 38. Ciao.